Hello, and welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk a little bit about vacuum cleaners, specifically bagless vacuum cleaners that have filters in them. I'm sure many people have them now. They seem to be the most cost effective. But there are problems with these that you're going to have to really pay attention to. I'm going to show you one that I have. It's going to be a Bissell Power Groom Helix, and if you can see, it's got a lot of stuff going on with it. It's got the canisters. It has the filter down here, the Febreze filter. That isn't a big deal, but the inside of the canister part, it has multiple filters. Some are plastic, but one specifically is in the bottom where it's a fine filter. And if you're going to use this, you got to keep that clean, of course. You got to wash the filter. But ever use something like this. The Carpet Fresh or Arm & Hammer, any of those, that way, any of those, they're so fine, so small, that they get trapped in the filter of these bagless vacuum cleaners. So when you're using it, it clogs up the filter very quickly, and it clogs up all the filters, and it coats the inside of the vacuum cleaner and the hose, and it's nearly impossible to get that out. You have to a very long time in order to get that out. Now, I ordered a replacement filter, and it comes like this, and this is the one that goes in the bottom of my vacuum cleaner. And this filter here comes off. And you can wash this out. And if you notice, this one's a little bit more fine. And it's I don't know exactly what it is, but it's kind of like paper, but it's not. And when these powders get in here, it completely bogs this up. Bogs or clogs this up. But then it gets right past it into this. And it fills into this. And you got to pound this out, pound it out to get that out of there. But even if it looks clean and you wash it, it takes forever to dry it. Really, days and days it needs to sit out and dry. And even when it feels dry, it's still got liquid moisture in there that you don't detect. And so that powder, even if you stop using the powder, once you vacuum, it's coming in from the hose and the line and the other filter and coming back in and clogging this up again. And it basically turns to cement when it hits that water. And once it blocks the power of the draw just enough, you're picking up this powder with your vacuum, and it's staying and coating the inside of the hoses, so that no matter how often you vacuum, for days in a row without using the Arm & Hammer or the Carpet Fresh, it's putting more, the powder that's in the hose is still getting in here and clogging this up. So what you have to do is you have to buy a new one, new filter, whole new unit, and put that in, and be careful never to use that stuff because it will destroy your vacuum cleaner. If it overheats the motor, you're out of luck and have to buy a new vacuum cleaner only because you used a Carpet Fresh. Don't use Carpet Fresh. Don't use the spray foam powders, foam that turns to powder, dries, and then you vacuum it up. Do not use that either. Not on these filter vacuum cleaners. They're okay with bag cleaners because the bag you replace, and it doesn't have any filter to catch the fine materials. But that's what these new bagless or modern bagless vacuum cleaners are for, to filter out the finest of the material, the fine dust. You also don't want to vacuum up ashes, cigarette ashes, unless, I mean, a little bit's okay. But if you're a smoker and you're smoking around your computer chair, around your computer, and you're getting it on the carpet or whatever, or smoking in a room, and you always don't know how much you're flicking on the floor, that too is too fine. If you vacuum too much of that, it's going to clog these up, and you really have to almost clean these every use. Wash them out, but not this hard plastic one with the paper-like filter, because that takes too long to dry, and you never know for sure if it is completely dry before you use it. And if it's still even slightly moist, it will trap the fine matter, the fine material, even dust, ashes, or whatever, and it will turn it into a solid that you cannot get out. And you'll have to buy one of these, a replacement one of these, every few months. Don't do that. But these do have to be replaced from time to time. This is the main one that does most of the work, in mine at least. It has a plastic filter at the top with just some lines in it to help filter out, break down the more solids, hair, and that kind of stuff. And then this is the one that gets most of the abuse. And you got to keep that clean because it's got to have good airflow through it, because that's where the air is pulling from. And if you get too much in it where it blocks it off, you're not getting a good draw. You're not going to get a lot of good out of the vacuum when you're vacuuming. You'll get a lot of stuff, believe me, but it's not as powerful. So you need to test the hose, pull the hose off and test it. Test the draw. And if that hose isn't sucking your hand up like this, when you put the hose on it, it means it has some form of dirty filter, and it might seem that this one, outer one, is clean and free of debris, but the inside one may be caked full of particulate matter that you can't get out as much as you bang it around, wash it, or whatever. You really can't wash that too much. But if you change this filter, not change it, but if you wash this filter, almost after every use, and knock the main one out like this, you probably won't have to replace this very often, maybe every few years. But if you use Carpet Fresh or any of the powder or the foam, it's going to ruin this thing, and it's not something that most people realize. I realized it because I was working on mine today, my vacuum cleaner today, replacing the filter, because I used to use years ago, powder, Carpet Fresh and things like that, and I am still battling getting it out of the system. I can't get it out of the hoses. It's still some particulate matter that comes up whenever I vacuum. Years later, coming out of the hose and the circulatory system. And it's really heavy because it attaches, those powders attach to dust and other small matter, and they become bigger. Who would know this? You basically need a shop vac these days with some of the stuff. And if we're staying in our homes more often, longer, we got dust, we're giving off dust, and you got dust coming from your air conditioning vents and all this. You never know. So anyway, don't use Carpet Fresh or any of those powders with a bagless canister vacuum cleaner, especially if it has filters, or you will rue the day. And I've rued many days, including today. Thank you for visiting my channel, and I hope to see you back again sometime soon. Sometime soon.